Today we're talking about what to do when shit's not going right and or hits the fan. Welcome to the Loveable as Fuck show with Sherry Yazzie. I am a plus-size Indigenous woman in a world that tells me not to love myself. I fucking do. Here's how I do it. If you are a woman building a socially conscious business that believes making money and doing good in the world go hand in hand, then you're invited to the Uprising. It is a safe space to be seen and supported by powerful women doing the work to show up fully in life and business with networking, masterminding, and genius business strategy to help you hit your next level. To find out more, go to belovableaf.com. So that's www.belovableaf.com. belovableaf.com. So what do we do when we're not getting what we want? When things aren't going right? Or when the shit hits the fan? So that's what we're talking about today. First thing, I'm going to be telling a story that happened to me recently. What I found was, I found this post, and they were talking about basically we can take the things, the pain, the upsets in our life, and turn it into something else, turn it into contribution, which has rebirthed the podcast again. Here we are. So we're back with our new season. I'm really excited. The Loveable as Fuck Badass is the podcast. And made a little shift. I'm really excited about this. I hope you keep continuing to follow along with me. All right, so let's get into it. So what do we do? First thing, when the shit hits the fan or when things aren't going the way that we want, first thing is let's tune into us. Let's tune into our bodies. Let's tune into how we feel. Now, people say that, and I'm one of them because I fully believe in that. But sometimes we are in such a state of fear, fight, or flight that we literally can't feel our bodies. We can't tune into our emotions. We are not able to tune in and tap into our intuition. We are this like floating, thinking, anxiety head. Maybe you can relate. I was listening to a podcast from a friend of mine, and she was being interviewed. She's incredible, amazing woman. And she was talking about that our bodies, her name is Parajat, and our bodies need to feel safe. Like, to be able to tune into your intuition, you have to feel safe. And I was like, oh my gosh, of course, that's like the first step in all of this. In all my belief work and all the things I've ever done, I was already safe by the time I got to the work. So if we aren't safe, that's the very first step. And she was talking about, basically, what you do is you think about the whatever happened and you feel into your body if there's pain, or if you can't feel that part of your body, that's where you're holding the trauma, and then you work through that. And I went to feel my body and I literally could feel nothing. It was like, obviously I know I have shoulders, I have hands, like I have things. I couldn't feel any of them. And I was like, whoa, okay. Whew, what's going on, right? Because I mean, I've had some stresses. Everybody has it. That's kind of part of the game, I think. And the game isn't just so that we're stressed out and then we die, right? The game is we feel the stress, and how do we function still? How do we actually show up and feel joy in the face of this? How do we feel joy even if we don't feel that safety? How do we manage this? So it started to become this question for me, because I wanted to feel safe. So I started looking, and I had an incident happen online where I got called out for being a liar, and people said I was sleazy and gross. It was really awful. And I had made a post about an experience that I had that didn't go very well. Someone decided that it was about them, their friend actually, and called me out. And it was rough. I like deleted and distanced myself as fast as I could because I don't actually want to be running down other people. So when I was describing this experience, I wasn't really thinking of what that would be like out in the world if that other person read it, and that was not cool. So I deleted it. I was like, okay, I'm moving away from this. But in the meantime, they posted like my picture, my profile, and said a whole bunch of really awful things about me and that I was lying and all these things, and a whole bunch of people joined on. Like people I didn't know, some that I did, like out in the internet world. And it felt so scary to me that every time I would go to post, every time I would go, like, I would just like feel this incredible panic. So much so that my whole body like shut down. It was like not willing to feel feelings anymore. It's like, we're done. No, thanks. Thanks for playing. And when I heard that podcast, I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. I've been working through this, right? As far as like using the tools that I had, but I didn't start with the first step, which needed to be safety. I started further out, like, okay, they can only have power over me if I say they do, like, which is useful, great stuff. But I needed to start with the safety. I needed to bring the safety back into my body. So how did I do that? I started to breathe intentionally, right? Like really deep breaths, taking it all the way in, holding them. So one of my favorite breath patterns is in 5, hold for 20, and out for 10. And do that at least 5 times. It's incredible. So in 5, hold for 20, out for 10. So I started doing that. And it happened to coincide with a vacation that we had planned. So I laid at the pool. I didn't get on the internet a lot. It was really, really good. And that helped give me a little bit more of that safety. Then I started to reclaim more of my power, right? Because just because people are saying things about you. Now, here's the thing. You might not have people on the internet saying things about you. You might have people in your life saying things about you. People sometimes say things about you and they think things about you. And we can't control any of that shit, right? That's their thing, their stuff. Now, what do we do though, right? Because we want to keep showing up. We want to keep moving forward. We want to keep being ourselves. And how do we do that without like shutting down? So another friend of mine, she posted, her name is Jade, and basically like, I don't give you the power. I don't give you the authority to make that assessment about me. And it was like, I was like this deep breath. I'm like, okay, yes. You know what? People can say what they want, but I don't give them the actual authority to make that assessment about me. Like, I'm not going to let that get on me anymore. So I like unhooked all that energy and gave it all back to the other people. They can have it and think what they want about me. I'm totally cool with that. Like, and I got to this place of like, okay, if that's how some people out there, that's cool. They're not my people. So then it kicked off this like, why did this happen? Like, because this is always my thing. If something like that happens, if the shit hits the fan, there's a belief driving the show. There's a belief underneath that actually created that experience for me to be able to work on these beliefs that are in the background operating, screwing shit up for me. That's always the way that I think about it. So first step is the safety bit. And that was something that was really huge. Unhooking that, giving it back, and feeling my own power, knowing that I am the one who makes the assessments about who I am and how I show up. And I am the one who's willing to take responsibility and be in integrity. And if I screw up, I screw up, and I also clean that up and deal with it. And if people are unwilling to forgive that or unwilling, because here's the thing, this is what I've realized from that entire interaction. The person who decided it was about them, it hurt their feelings. So I went ahead and took the post down because I don't actually want to be the kind of person who like pushes other people, even like fictional people that I didn't name, down to lift me up. That's gross. So I realized that wasn't okay for me and I took that down and I made a post about it. And so I restored my own integrity. I realized how I want to show up. I don't ever want to be that. It's an interesting thing, right? Because I want to call out racism. I want to call out things that aren't okay. But I don't actually love calling out individuals. I feel like calling out overall actions. That's like the more important thing here. So I realized that I could make posts about kind of some of the things that don't work for me without it being specific about any but one experience or person. So I made a shift because I don't want people guessing like, ooh, is she talking about me? Was that me? I don't want people feeling unsafe and shitty with me because that's not my deal. So that's what I learned. When I learned that, I took all that power back. I started to feel safe again and I could feel my body, just in case you're wondering. I could finally feel my body. I was like, oh, thank God. Once I did that, it was like, okay, just the natural thing bubbled up. Like, why? What's up with this? What belief is operating? And for me, whenever this happens, I ask, what's the earliest or the worst where I felt this same way, right? This kind of like ashamed, maybe everybody hates me, deciding that everybody thinks I'm a big old piece of shit. Like, it's this awful feeling. And like almost like you got hit in the back of the head with like a ball, like in my throat. Like it just felt gross in my body. I felt awful. And so after being safe, I tuned back into the feeling and I was like, okay, when did I feel this way? And one of the worst was probably the worst around this. I don't know. But see, here's the cool thing about these kinds of things. Whatever pops up is ready to be rewired, is ready to be worked on. So I don't like hunt, like, is this the right one? Is this the right one? If it pops up, I work on it. All right. So when I would turn 13, I live in a pretty conservative town. Like, I didn't really fit in here. I wasn't the same color as everybody else. I didn't have the same religion. So I didn't understand. Now as an adult, I understand, like, they all kind of paired off in their religious activities and all of that. And so, but as a kid, I just thought maybe there was something wrong with me because they all had best friends and I didn't have a best friend. And it really bothered me that I didn't have a best friend. I felt like maybe there was something wrong with me. There's a belief. I felt like maybe like I didn't deserve a best friend, like they knew something I didn't. And then this experience really reinforced that. So there's another belief. I finally found somebody that was like, we were just instantly best friends and we were doing everything together and it was so great. And I invited her to my birthday party and we watched Dirty Dancing and we had a sleepover with some other girls and it was so fun. I had a great time. I get to school on Monday. I open my gym locker and there's a note from my bestie and I'm like, oh, awesome. So I open the note and it says that we can't be friends because I'm a bad influence and Jesus Christ said so. And I remember my face got hot. I was horrified. I was like rooted to the floor. I wanted to cry. I was so scared that every girl in there thought the same. Like, it was just like this feeling of overwhelming shame and hurt and then upset, pissed off, like really viciously angry and wanting to defend myself. And it was all of the same things that I had just felt. And I was like, okay, I found it. This is it. So here's the thing. It's okay to, like, I notice these things, but I don't, like, live in them. I'm like, oh, all right. There's all those feelings. Okay. And then I step away because I'm an adult. I'm not that 13-year-old girl anymore. I'm not that girl who is craving and needing that connection so badly. I'm an adult. So I go, okay, what happened? Well, that's her stuff. And it was like really complicated, like God trauma stuff that's hers. It's all hers. None of that was me. I didn't do anything wrong. Like wanting to watch Dirty Dancing, which was PG-13 when I turned 13, was pretty cool. And that's an okay thing. And in a different place, it would not have even been an outside the realm kind of thing, right? So this is what I mean, is you back up and you go, oh, see, I made all these decisions, but I was thinking all about me, not about what was hers and what was mine. And you know what I mean? And so as I did that, it started to unhook, like, okay, I don't have to carry that. I don't have to take that on, that I'm a bad influence and something's wrong with me. And I've been packing it around. It's been fucking me up. And how do I know this too? Another reason I know this, so maybe you don't have an extreme thing happening, but maybe you have something that you've been wanting, like you really want it, and it's not happening. That's also an indicator that you have a belief in your subconscious that is getting what it wants. While consciously you're like, no, I want this. But your belief's like, no, I don't think so. So I'm growing this group called The Uprising. It's a membership for women entrepreneurs who are committed to building socially conscious businesses. And it's beautiful and amazing what's happening in there and the support that's happening. And like actual real connections and friendships are forming inside of there. And I started to freak out because my belief says I can't have friends. I can't do that. There's something wrong with me and I don't deserve those best friends. And all the way back to that Jesus Christ himself says this, right? That's what's in my belief patterns. And I was like, oh, no wonder I got freaked out and stopped talking about it. So see, this is where you look at, if you're not getting what you want, you can also come back to this work. So I went through, found the beliefs, right? And it's that I was a bad influence. I wasn't likable. There was something wrong with me and I didn't deserve a best friend. Like, those are shitty beliefs. So then the next step is always, am I willing? Am I willing to see things differently? Am I willing for this to shift? Am I willing for new beliefs? Because if we are so committed to those beliefs, because they're so true, it's very hard to move this next bit. And so for me, I was totally willing. Like, yeah, because I knew they weren't true. Because the next step is, are they true? With real curiosity, not trying to force anything, or just real curiosity. Like, is it true? It wasn't written, predetermined in my life that I didn't deserve to have friends. No. And do I actually have friends? Yes. So see, there's a mismatch in my beliefs versus what's actually happened in my life. And when you start looking, a lot of times that will happen. And so I went through all the beliefs and I unhooked them. Like, they're not true. Those aren't mine. And I gave them away. Like, I gave the energy back. And I have a full process for this. If you are interested in doing this guided in, you could even do one-to-one work with me if you message me, but I have it inside of a course that actually guides you through this step by step by step. All right. And you can get all that if you go to the links in the description. All right. So then the next thing is, what beliefs would I rather believe, right? Like, so I write a lot of this. Sometimes I don't write it. Sometimes it just goes through me. But when I first started doing this, I wrote all of it. So my new beliefs is actually, this came from my son. So my son he's truly magical. Like, people, just him being himself, like, makes a difference from people's lives, has people smiling, like, has them feeling good about themselves, like, just being himself. Now, there are exceptions to that rule who truly do not get his magic. They maybe have an expectation about how kids should behave and what they should say or not say, because he makes requests. He advocates for himself. He doesn't he doesn't wait for people to tell him. And sometimes that really grates on people's nerves. And sometimes they're just maybe not tuned into it. Like, they just don't even really notice. But I mean, since he was a kid, I've had people coming up to me and be like, "You're Maceo's mom," and telling me these stories about him. And I've been like, wow, I mean, he really is just magic, just being himself. And then it was like, light bulb. What if you are? And I'm not, like, what if I am? What if you are too? Like, if it's true for one person, it can be true for you. There's no, if someone's born magic, you have the magic too. We maybe just covered that shit up. So what I'm saying here is, maybe start considering that you're magic. But I was like, okay, so not everybody gets his magic, but it doesn't mean he's not magic. I was like, okay, so not everybody's going to get me, but that's okay. The right people will. And the people who I can actually build deep, meaningful relationships with, because I look back at that, and here was the problem. She was very, very religious, and I was very, very not. And we really would have had a hard time moving forward. I would have had to have kind of contorted who I was, and it would not have actually been the best friendship. So I look back and I realize that was actually needed, right? Sometimes it's painful though. It sucks. But when you look back, sometimes you're like, oh, whew, I dodged a bullet on that, right? Because especially back then, I did not need a relationship that had me needing to be somebody I wasn't. Acting, pretending, that was not going to go. So when I started to tune into, okay, what if my new belief is, I'm magic? I am magic. I'm magic. And just trust that the people who get that and feel that same way are going to show up, and that the people who don't will fall away. And I don't have to do anything about that. So I'm challenging you here, because if I'm magic, so are you. We all are. We all have our own magic that we bring to the table, to life. When we really unhook that other shit that people have given us, give it back, and we are fully us. We are fully who we are meant to be. We are fully living through and into our purpose. We are being the kind of women that we want to be in the world. When we do that, we are magic. And you'll see, it's really been interesting. I've unleashed this whole new, power of myself, and certain people just are magnetized in, right? And that's great. And I don't have to worry about the people who are like me. No, or think horrible things about me. I don't have to even worry about them. So I unhooked all that. How good would that feel? Okay. So the next step is to forgive and unhook. So I went through and forgave a fuckload of people. That girl, the women on the internet, the women that said the things, myself, all the way to family members who didn't prepare me for things, all kinds of stuff, right? I forgave just all over the place. And why do I do that? Because it gives me space. I don't actually go tell these people. I'm not finding that 13-year-old, the girl from when I was 13, and being like, hi, I forgive you. I just do it, so I no longer am holding it. it gives me the space. It doesn't mean that what was okay, that what happened was okay, or that I'm like a supporter of that person. I'm going to go let them into my life. No, I'm not doing that. But I don't have to hold on to this fucking anger. I can let that shit go, because that's going to feed all kinds of nasty shit inside me. I don't want that. So forgive and unhook. And then I practice my new beliefs. So I have been saying on a very regular basis, I'm magic. I'm magic. I'm fucking magic. Oh, and I'm likable as fuck. With the right people. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Because I got clear too. This whole thing, me not being likable for everybody, that's not a mistake. I am the one who actually drives that bus. I'm the one who's like, not everybody gets to be over here with me, because I actually don't want some of that energy. I definitely don't want people who will randomly attack you like that. I don't want that at all. And I don't want to be that kind of person. So I made a change myself, right? So does that make sense? Like that right there. This change, this belief, this change in my beliefs, I just practice it. And I practice it for time, because here's the thing, our brains need time to rewire the new belief. Once we actually have it fully rewired and installed, the old belief goes, and then our new belief becomes the norm. It becomes the thing our brain is looking for. So think about this, like in 22 days, when my belief is I'm magic, and it's like really instilled down and through my whole body, what will happen in my life? What would be possible? So that's why I do this work, because when the shit hits the fan, or when shit's not going the way that I want, I know that I have power to impact that. I don't have power to impact what people think about me or say about me. I have power to impact how I feel about it, how I'm going to show up, who I'm going to be in the matter, how I'm going to be in my life. And I have the power to shift any beliefs that are not serving me anymore, any beliefs that are no longer working. And that, for me, is the ultimate game, because as I do that, I show up more me. I show up more with space and calm and expansion possible. I show up more on fire, lit up, excited about my actual life day to day. And so many people think that the work is the next shiny object, or the skill set you must have, or the degree you need. But it's all here. The validation rests inside of us. Anytime we're looking for it out there, it's actually not going to continue to resonate. It'll feel good for a minute, but it's here inside of us. So I challenge you, start taking on that you're magic. If you are going through something with the shit hitting the fan, or shit not going the way you want, I encourage you to do this belief work process if you would like to do it even more in depth. And if you are a woman entrepreneur committed to building a socially conscious business, come join us in the Uprising. I hold that place safe, sacred. We do amazing work. You get awesome business strategy along with support, masterminding, and really being seen. Your whole being. We don't just talk about business in there. All right. In case nobody has told you yet today, you are lovable as fuck, just the way you are. To send me your questions or stories, email me at loveableafshow@gmail.com. If you loved the show, please comment, like, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're listening on the podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to help me get this show in front of more women who need to know that they are lovable as fuck, just as they are. Check out the show notes, or go to beloveableaf.com. That's beloveableaf.com for more of how to unfuck yourself, love yourself, and be happy no matter your size. I said it before, and I will say it again. You are lovable as fuck, just as you are.